Hey, how's it going, guys? So we're back with more Star Citizen content. If you're new channel, welcome. So last time we checked out a lore video by the TheAstroHistorian. So shout out and credit goes to the TheAstroHistorian for the video. And we checked out about the UEE Marines, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it because, like I said, for those of you guys don't know, I'm a Marine as well. So that's why I was like, hey, I feel like there's a connection here. But anyways, this one is called The Marine Who Was 200 Years Late. Now, here's my two theories about this. Who was 200 years late? Either he went into cryo or something like that, just like frozen in time, kind of like he got a Captain America time thing, or he fell into a time loop or something like that. Because I really don't know what it could be. The Marine who was 200 years late. So let's see what TheAstroHistorian has to say. So without anything else, let's just jump right into it.
Side of the verse. Early in the
Whoa, look at that
evening
statue.
on one December day in 2945, the 127-year-old Octavia Watt was getting her home ready for Traveler's Day. As a follower of the Church of the Journey, she was going to have her 3 children join her for the holiday, as was tradition. Octavia lived in a modest home in the outskirts of Tram, a city in Asura in the Pharaon system, which has been ravaged by years of neglect and sabotage by the late Mezzers. Clean water remains scarce on the planet, and gangs clash nightly for what resources they can manage to scrounge. Little remains of the public infrastructure after the last Mezzer claimed the system was home to dissidents and rebels in 2791, causing a massive migration out of the system of people and companies. Almost 200 years later, the system has nearly entirely collapsed, struggling to hold its population and ever so carefully winning back a few industries. For Octavia, none of this mattered, as she remained for the memories. Her rural homestead reminded her of her youth in Charon, and she had no plans on leaving, despite the worries of her children. She likely would have remained in that home for the rest of her life if it weren't for that fateful day in December. When she had finished preparing the home, she stepped out to walk to her neighbors, a ex-UEE Navy veteran and family friend of the Watts, Merle Ramick. She was visiting him to ask to borrow some towels as she didn't have enough for her soon-to-arrive children. When she was about halfway home, the sky lit up with a flash, followed by a deafening sonic boom. She then heard a piercing scream cut across the sky and saw a streak slicing through the thick layer of clouds and pollution that permanently hung in the skies of Asura. A moment later, she was hurled to the ground when a second boom and flash sent her tumbling. When she got to her feet and collected her thoughts, she realized that her family home was now a blasted ruin. As the dust and smoke cleared from her vision, she saw the culprit of the attack. Sticking out of the ground in the exact place her favorite chair used to be was a burnt-up metal tube covered in UEE and Marine logos. The flashes and booms roused her neighbors, who began wandering towards her home to check out the commotion. All were baffled by the sight. All but one person: Merle Remick. Having served in the UEE Navy, he knew exactly what he was looking at: a UEE Marine nail drop pod. The nail drop pod is little more than a metal tube with reinforced bottom, inertial dampeners, and a rocket motor on top.
Oh yeah, they did show like a picture of that in the UEE Marine lore video, and I kept on comparing it to like either the Halo ODST pod or the Helldivers drop pod.
While the nail has been in service as far back as the Second Tevarin War, since the Vanduul raids had started, it had been given an upgrade by researchers at UPark using classified captured tech from the Vanduul boarding pods nicknamed Spikes. Marines use these pods to insert quickly into a combat zone, literally being fired at the ground at such speeds that it would take, at most, 90 seconds to fall from orbit to the ground. If used properly, it is a devastating delivery method. However, any mistake would spell certain death to the Marine inside. Remick acted fast, hoping he would have time to save the poor Marine who was obviously way off course. He quickly found the emergency release handle and swung the tube open. Slouched inside was a human figure in Marine armor and a sealed helmet. Merle eased the figure to the ground and carefully removed the helmet to try and ascertain how injured the trooper was. Unfortunately, it was too late for the occupant of the nail. In fact, it was about 2 centuries too late. Merle realized that
so he's dead already.
Equipment that the body had on was out of date. Gear that was standard issue to Marines during the reign of the last Mezzer. More strangely, there didn't seem to be any identification marks on the Marine. Before any more investigation could occur, something even stranger happened. Local authorities arrived on the scene, seemingly
that was quick.
unprompted. This was the same overworked and under-equipped police force who would go on strike 2 years later for being underpaid and under-equipped to deal with the gang violence. Police weren't known to even patrol that far outside the city limits, but for this incident, they were on the scene almost instantly.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's pretty convenient.
Statements were taken, and the military arrived shortly thereafter to retrieve the pod and its occupant. The government has refused to comment on the incident, but did pay the now homeless Octavia a generous resettlement fee. She now lives with her daughter Elena in Cestulus in the Davian system. Many questions still remain about the strange Marine visitor that have...
I mean, I was wondering if she was going to get compensated or she was going to get reimbursed or have a new home built, because I was about to say, she literally just got screwed over with that nail pod coming down and just wiping out her home.
Yet to be answered. The chief one being, where did this poor soul come from in the first place? What mission was this Marine sent on, and why was he devoid of any identification? His estimated age would put him around the same time as Linton Mezzer's rule and his designation of the system as a haven for insurrectionists, so perhaps he was being sent on a covert mission gone wrong. Another incident in the Pharaon's system would indicate this is likely. Squadron 78 was tasked to bomb a terrorist training base on a moon of the Pharaon system in 2791. However, when they arrived, they found a refugee and agricultural settlement without any weapons, so they disobeyed the order and returned home. Luckily for them, the Mezzers were overthrown as the entire squadron was waiting court-martial hearings. Perhaps this unlucky Marine was in a similar predicament, tasked with deploying into a population of a planet, only to find out at the last minute what his actual mission was, and sacrificing his life to avoid civilian casualties. If that was the case, why not hail him as a hero like Squadron 78, who were showered with accolades and praise by the new UEE for refusing the immoral order? Instead, here, the entire incident was covered up, and the government pretending the Marine never even existed. Perhaps he was unaware of his fate, and a malfunction sent him off course, only to land in an unlucky homestead 200 years later. If that was the case, then what happened to the rest of his squad? By their very nature, Marines are secret.
If it's a cover-up or anything like that, I'm willing to bet that the government, the UEE, sent like another, like maybe a squad of Marines who are like just blindly loyal to the UEE to take them out. That's what I'm thinking. If it's a cover-up, because that's usually how it goes.
No one volunteers for the service. You are chosen to join. Even then, you aren't initiated until you pass a brutal training program on the frozen homeworld of the Marines, Corin. The planet is dotted with icy tundras and craggy rock caves, where every day is a fight for survival on the barely habitable Hell planet. Once they've passed that regimen, Only then can they become full-fledged members and are given access to the numerous secret underground bases of Corin, which will be their home for their time serving. Little is even known about the world of Corin, as a completely marine-controlled Bengal carrier battle fleet remains around the planet at all times, with orders to kill anyone who even attempts to get near the world without warning. It is safe to say that little is known about the operation of these elite warriors, and they pride themselves on keeping these secrets to the grave if necessary. The mystery of the uninvited Marine still haunts those who experience the incident to this day. With little chance of getting answers to the nature of the mission the Marine was on, or why they ended up in the living room of a remote outpost, it is safe to say that this will remain one of the universe's untold tales.
It's really interesting. I mean, but still, I'm just saying, 200 years is still a huge time gap. But uh, yeah, I mean, government cover-up is the best way to say it because, as he described about the police who are underpaid, who went on strike later after that, and just basically they managed to get on scene very quickly, and the government just like scooped up the remains of the Marine and also the pod itself. Yeah, I smell cover-up, and also on top of that, there's no identification for the Marine or anything like that. So, but I'm just saying, like, she got lucky. She was in that house, then she would have been wiped out too. But at least she was generally compensated, and she was relocated, so that's good. But either way, this kind of addresses like some of the things that can happen. You know, like black ops missions or illegal missions that are like set. That are like carried out by like operatives, and if the operatives are compromised or anything like that, the government will just wipe out their identification record and say, we never heard of them. So, I mean, this one is very close to like realistic situations that could be happening today. But either way, this was really great, but I just wish that it was a little bit longer and maybe there was a little bit more detail into the Marine. Like maybe, hey, later on, we found out who the Marine was or something like that. But then again, that's just my personal opinion. But either way, this was really great. So shout out and credit goes to the TheAstroHistorian once again for the video. And that's all I got for today, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that notification bell so you know when to drop another video. And also shout out to all my members, subscribers, viewers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I really do appreciate it. So without anything else, see you guys next time.